after graduating from IIT Kharagpur, I was I was very clear that I wanted to do a core job. Even during that time, that was not, a trend that people used to have these swanky Infosys jobs with, all the beer parties and all the tea cafes and stuff. While I was not getting that attracted onto all that because I was really looking that whatever 4 years I've invested in, learning something in life, why don't I, try that out a bit. I went on to, work in space itself, which is very rare, and jobs were not much there because 2001 had come and it was not easy to get a job during that time. But I managed to get a job, and thankfully, I went to, deep inside the rural India,
Mm-hmm.
understanding, how agriculture is happening, what are the various plights that are there for the businesses as well as for the farmers.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one particular scene that kind of remained with me forever till my life now. Is a farmer and his son had come to sell off, and they were like kind of sitting under the rain and the sun for 5 days to sell just two bullock carts of their produce. uh, and the middleman or the person who was there, he was not taking it just to ensure that they break the book, I mean, back and kind of make them agree to buy at a very very low price.
Okay.
So that's a typical way of saying quality अच्छी नहीं है, सामान अच्छा नहीं है, इसका तो भाव ही नहीं है, and kind of
Hmm.
uh, take everything on a. So this is where I think it really got into me that what is the way forward, if we were to, how can we solve it, and a single company cannot solve it. There has to be a lot of ecosystem changes that needs to be developed
Mm-hmm.
in this regard.
Mm-hmm. Where was this,
uh,
Taran? Which part of India?
this is a place called Shahjahanpur. This is eastern UP.
Okay.
I mean, I really thought that if I have to build something, I have to build something in agriculture in my life.
Right.
Uh, and um and as usual, with, I mean, the typical path after either IIT or engineering in India, look for an MBA or go abroad. I
Mm-hmm.
had I had both the option, thankfully. First time I had the option to go abroad, I had my PhD full scholars from US. I didn't go because I was literally enjoying the work that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time I cleared CAT, I thought, I don't think I have money to start anything, so I better do a simple MBA.
Mm-hmm.
So I went on to do my MBA from IIM Calcutta,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where wanted again there. Not a Although I got a investment banking offer there, worked in London a bit, but then what thought is came to my mind is that I had to take up something in the food and ag space,
Okay.
and I did take up a job with Starbucks,
Mm-hmm.
and worked across the Middle East and Europe, working on various data sciences related opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
and understood the food value chain a bit more. Then went on to consulting for around 5 years, across Europe, Middle East, working around 15 countries.
Hmm.
And fine day when I was kind of a rainmaker there, making a lot of deals, kind of building my team up to more than 150 member. And then one fine day, I just walked to my boss and I said, "Hey, it's what, time to go back." So, and do what I wanted to always do.
Hmm.
So he was taken aback. He gave me a 6 month. He said, "You think over it and come back." He gave me a 6 month sabbatical.
Right.
I came to India. Uh, I came back to India, spent my time on the ground, understood a bit, cogitated a lot what I need to do, and then again went back after 6 months and said, "I think I have to do what I have to do." So
Right.
they they wanted to talk me out of it, but
Mm-hmm.
I think so. That's how I landed up back in India in 2016,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was a very uphill journey because I wanted to do something which is grounds up, which means I didn't want to do a simple supply chain business of buying from farmers and selling on to a business. I mean, in the end, I kind of becoming an e-middleman. I wanted to do something which is more technology based,
Hmm.
more which changes the way businesses are done.
Right.
And that's where my understanding of and focus along the decades to build something in technology came up.
Right.
What I did, I that image of transaction not happening because of quality,
Hmm.
and understanding that quality can be defined through data
Right.
and cannot be left to a person putting the mustard between the teeth,
Hmm.
or you know uh, uh, putting the groundnut between the palm or watching it between his eyes. These are the ways to analyze millions and billions tons of produce that our farmers produce. So
Uh,
you need to bring science to it,
hmm.
and once that science is there, I think the transactions will become much more better, so that the farmer gets the right price
Hmm.
and the buyer gets the right produce.
Right. So, couple of questions, okay, which are literally burning me up. It's like, why agriculture? I mean, where did that interest in agriculture? It's not a traditional path. You see, it's like nobody thinks that an IIT IIM guy is going to go back into agriculture. So, where did that interest come from, Taran?
I have absolutely no clue.
Okay,
Honestly,
okay.
it just
I mean, it was just something that happened.
see. I grew up. I mean, obviously, being from a village called Dera Baba Nanak, which is the next village from the Pakistan border. I have my roots to agriculture for sure. But my four generations have been engineers. I mean, my great grandfather was engineer in Calcutta, who built up bridges and stuff.
Hmm.
My grandfather was a engineer, chief engineer of Assam. During my summer vacations, we used to go to villages for sure, and I used to enjoy the run there.
Hmm.
But
But not
you know,
really. I mean, nothing that you just saw that this was a problem. And did you always know that you wanted to start something up?
I always knew that to solve something, I mean, you have to start something. That's
Right,
what I knew. I mean, otherwise these are just processes which are. I mean, not many companies would give you the flexibility to start, or as we call it, the entrepreneur thing wasn't that fad during those times.
right,
And
right,
today, yes, you can be at an IBM and say that I want to solve this, and you can have that luxury. But 20 years back, those kind of things were unheard of, right?
right,
So, and especially if I say that you know what, IBM, I want to start data sciences in agriculture, and I mean
right.
that time I would laugh it out.
Unthinkable. Yeah,
Even when I came back in 2016, it was not easy because I had to do literally everything. If I have to start computer vision, I had to literally talk to NVIDIA's, to others, to how can I build a computer vision device.
right,
uh, and I had to start a spectrometry, which today we are one of the leading companies in the world in spectral sciences.
right,
Uh, we talk about, because I had seen a spectrometry kept somewhere in 2000s in somewhere, and that was as big as a room. You know, I wanted to make it like the size of a mouse.
hmm,
So, people were, what the hell is this guy talking about? And believe me, for that I had gone to lengths and breadths of China, to Taiwan, to Gurgaon. I have where all to, with just that vision that we have to create this,
right,
and nobody would have thought that one needs that to first solve the next bigger problem. So I think the whole journey was clear that we have to reach somewhere, and I have to go mountain by mountain. After every mountain, the next mountain will appear. I
right,
mean, that's the kind of path that I thought will be there, because I also don't know how the end mountain will look like. But yeah,
right.
let us reach this, and then we will see what is the next that will appear.
Right. Okay. So the first big idea. Okay, you talked about this incident, right, which kind of sparked off the interest in you that okay, I've got to kind of disintermediate this value chain, so to speak. After seeing that man and his son sitting there for 5 days and being dealing with the middlemen and trying to get a fair price for their produce. But when did the big idea, so to speak, strike, Taran? Um, I mean, there's a lag between that point in Sharajpur and then your journey to Calcutta, London, the US, wherever else you went and came back, right? There was quite a lag. So when did that big idea strike you? I mean, why that?
I think when I had enough cash to burn,
Okay,
I think that's where I had. I mean, I had
the
saved enough
luxury.
money to. Yeah, I mean, when I had, I mean, obviously after I got married, and then, I had a very very personal, I would say, accident.
Hmm.
So, I mean, we were doing pretty good, me and my wife, in terms of, I mean, she's an investment banker, I am a consultant. That's a typical star journey for money
Right,
making.
right.
So, um, and I had a almost a near death experience. I mean, I had a road accident, and I almost it took me around 1.5 years to recuperate during that time.
Right.
And I think it became very evident to me that you know you are here just to solve something. I mean, you're not here to just enjoy the luxuries of what you have gone through your degree or through your work or through your brain, but it's also an effort of the soul. I mean,
Right.
what you have been, not just the effort of the brains that you have been making. It's
Hmm.
also about what is it that you can do. I mean, obviously you're not the only one. There are millions of others who are trying to bring the world to a better place. But at least whatever you can do, or whatever has been tingling you for some time, how do you give it a shape?
Right.
So I think those 1.5 years were very great for us to understand, that there has to be a mission
Hmm.
of the soul, and that is was very clear because I was so closely entwined towards this idea of agriculture that I thought this is it. And but now to do that, you have to save money. So thankfully, even after the accident, we were making good money. So when I was
Okay.
fully medically medically all hale and hearty, I went out to save for money for around 7 years more, and I
Right.
think and 6 years, 8 years, sorry, and then came
Mm.
back to India.
Okay.
So I think the real deal came that that we have enough to survive in case we are not able to succeed,
Hmm.
and then we'll see what we do. But I think I just came up. We burned a lot of money in this research because this is not what we started at AgNext was not a small journey of just a software and just let's make a let's make a procurement software or just make this software and just kind of roll it out.
Hmm.
I mean, it required huge data sciences. It required innovation at the core in hardware.
Hmm.
So, I mean, in a nutshell, it was a million form of SpaceX, if I
Right.
could call it. That it's a long journey. You started way back in 2002 with a mission that you want to go there, and the results start pouring in after a long because you have to innovate from the grounds up to remove the way the satellite is launched or a rocket is sent.
Hmm.
So that's how the whole thing was that we have to analyze food using computer vision. We have to analyze food using spectrometry, and
Hmm.
nobody was talking about spectrometry those days.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
And applying all of this in the India context, I think that's a significant challenge as well. So how did you find your initial team, Taran? How hard was that? What do you remember of the early days?
struggle. I mean, till now also, but
Yeah, yeah, I can
uh,
imagine.
yeah, it's all about people. It's all about the best of the lot, who understand what you're trying to do, and because it's a bizarrely different model, right? Nobody had understood about that bringing hardware and then integrating computer vision,
Hmm.
data scientists who are solving the problem of delivering food at 3 a.m.
Hmm.
I don't know how it changes the world. I don't know, but
It
there are
changes
data
the world for
scientists.
some people, certainly. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are people who are, solving, find the fun in solving for a company which wants to deliver a very cheesy meal at 3 a.m. and
right.
building data sciences for that.
Yes. Yes,
You
there
know,
are
and,
those
and
two.
you
Yes.
and you call it the unicorns, but I don't really have any liking for such models or
Right.
affiliation. And it
Right.
was very difficult to pull up these data scientists to tell, what we are trying to do is much different. We are trying to, bring health or healthy, or and wealth to across the spectrum. So
Right.
by doing what we are trying to do.
Right.
There were people. I mean, I had a great data AI guy who clearly said, you know what, I find these models more interesting. And I mean, I could say anything because, you know, what can you do? I mean, it is very difficult to, when you are trying to do something, it is. But then this is just one of case. The kind of people who joined us are amazing. I mean, all of them came with a mission that we are trying to solve something greater for
Hmm.
the greater good.
It had to be a
And
passion project. I mean, clearly, this is
yeah,
not
and
a problem that's easily solved. So it is something that people have to spend time on, right? So,
yeah, we got. First of all, I incubated at IT Kharagpur, back to the pavilion.
hmm,
Uh, you know, motivated few people to join, and we need to analyze this rice grain.
hmm,
The first day I spread the rice grain in front of them, I said, we have to analyze it with computer vision.
hmm.
Everyone like, what the hell? And then it has to be a hardware which can process this much amount, and then we have to, what, this is chalky grain, this is broken grain, and everyone
Right.
is like, looking, what the hell is this guy talking about, sir?
A lot of
Right.
details that nobody had really spent time considering, right?
Yeah, and you know what, billions of dollars decisions are taken on this.
Right. Right.
So this is where the depth of understanding comes in, that what we are trying to do is we are digitizing the trade, uh,
Right.
u- using and removing subjectivity in the game.
Right.
So, uh, getting the team initial was, and first of all, the hardware. I mean, in India, it's very difficult to find the right hardware.
Right.
So, the team which will build up, how will you, and for every commodity, there's a different hardware, there's a different
Right.
algorithm. So, the best part was most of the team that initially joined me as interns,
Hmm.
they came back to join me after the graduation also.
Right.
So that was the great part, that we want to join you, and 3-4 of them have become business managers in the organization by now.
Wow.
And yeah, and they have gone amazingly in terms of how they are seeing and becoming the masters of this trade. We are occupying a very very niche space,
Hmm.
but we understand that this has a very global appeal.
Right.
That shows on the awards and stuff that we have been getting globally.
Right.
But but the but the part is that now we have understood, as a team, that what we set out with a vague definition at the first,
Hmm.
that we have to have data sciences solving agriculture,
Hmm.
has turned out to be a much much deeper understanding of every space that we are occupying. and
Right.
uh, and it's just, I mean, we have just come to 0 to 1 in some, we are 0 to point 0.5 somewhere, but this 1 2x is a very very large game for us.
Right.
And that's where new strengths will come, new people will come who will bring in an understanding of fintech adjacent models, who will come with procurement models, who will come with lending models. So I think these are the things that I'm looking and more excited in the coming years,
Hmm.
that the army of people who would solve this is coming. So I
Right.
think, is very clear on that part. Yeah.
Right. And tell me a little bit more about your first customer journey, right? That must have been big. necessarily would have been a complex journey in the space that you've just spoken about. How did you navigate that, and what do you remember about that first aha moment when somebody said, "Okay, we'll do this with you"?
I think if you understand this space, what is happening in agriculture is anything that you do is cyclical. It
Right,
has seasons.
right,
So you miss one season, you wait for the next season.
right,
So and typically after that one season we will establish, second season we will pilot, third season we will decide. So
right,
that's the pain that every ag tech goes through, that even if with one idea, the whole cycle is very long.
right,
So
right,
this cannot go and deploy instantly anywhere. that
right,
that is where it's not a made to serve tech, that a sector like healthcare or a sector like insurance or a sector like banking, where the transactions on a minute by minute basis,
right.
uh, and you know
So this
what to
is,
solve.
yeah.
Yeah, this is like both the client and the solution provider are in a journey.
Hmm.
It's like a local train. So
Right. Yeah. So you
both
you
are.
really have to slow things down to the seasonal exchange. So
Yes, in between a lot of snacks, in between a lot of stopping over, understanding what is it that we are solving
actually
here.
doing,
And
yeah.
so yeah, so that's where the first customers who believe in you, who come to you, but they also don't know what is the commercial value of it. And wo- because they have been used to a certain way of working,
Hmm.
if we have to bring a tech there, it has to first understand, then we have to build, then we have to commercialize, which works in a very dusty, in a very very chaotic environment of let's say an agriculture company. And then it has to give a return. I mean, there has to be a value return. So
Right.
nobody knows about the game, but everyone says that okay, let's do that. So one of the first clients that we had was a very large company.
Hmm.
They just called me one day and they said, hey, we understand you're doing something in IoT, so can you just come over? I said, yeah, we can have a call. I mean, today everyone does it on Zoom, but that day, even for 10-minute meeting, people used to, you have to come to Guntur for that, or you have to come to, someplace,
Right.
Coimbatore for that. I said, and those were the times we didn't have much money. So,
Right.
I said, okay, fine. I mean, I'll have to take two flights to reach there. And no, they said, yeah, but you can come now. I mean, large companies don't understand what startups are going through. So
Right.
I said, fine, I'll go. So I landed up there. The whole board, I mean, the whole management was sitting. And I told, this is what I can do. This is my plan. And thankfully, one of them was listening, and he said, hey, can you do solve a large problem for us, which is getting some data. Now, it was not an easy problem because there is no internet where these things are to be deployed.
Right.
And now I have to solve the next problem. So I said, okay, I'll come back to you. I come
Yeah.
back. I came back. I think through the, and I said, okay, we will deploy this new technology called, let's say, a LoRa WAN network,
Right.
and we'll deploy it over a 10-kilometer area. And this is a, is it okay? We'll just pay for the hardware and something, and so there's no payment per se. But we have to deploy 100 locations. Now find the team, send them to godforsaken places, be there for 4 months, and monitor.
Yeah.
There's the next, the operations comes in, and then oh, season khatam ho gaya, ab agle season mein dekhenge.
Right.
And then what do you do for this team? Bring them back again, work on it, and then again next season collect data, and then show them a value. So that, so this is one angle going on. Then there's another company which calls, and not a company, but almost a sector.
Hmm.
They say that we have been working on this is a 120-year-old problem,
Hmm.
and we thought that if some technology can solve this.
Right.
Okay, so there I go again. I go and watch and sit there, and there are 9 CEOs sitting of that particular sector in one room,
Right.
and this, if you solve this, it will solve a huge issue. Again, please note, if so,
Yeah.
so
I mean,
so
it's big bets all around. Like on one hand, you have the season, so time is running, right?
Yeah,
There
money
is,
run.
right? Then you have like a burn rate that's not going to slow
Yes.
down.
Yeah.
And you have like skeptical customers or potential customers that are sitting there and waiting because they have to see, right? I mean, it has to be
Correct.
tangible, right? And
Correct.
they're sitting, and this is a high touch model. It's not like a sales model in a high tech industry space where you can click log in from somewhere and say, hey, look at this, I've solved this
Yeah.
problems, look at the elegance of
It,
it, right?
it's like
So
it's like an IPL of the blindfolded. Only when the zenith comes, then only we'll take out the blindfolds.
right. So you've got
It's
to keep going. And yeah. And
yeah.
what happened there? uh, what
Yeah, we build it.
Okay. And how long
We
was
took
that
on
cycle? Another
two
year?
years. 2 years.
2 years. Okay. Okay. And
But we
some
did that.
really irate families, I'm sure, because the people that are working for you are being deployed in some far-flung corner of India, right?
Yeah, so it is God-forsaken tea gardens, God-forsaken tobacco fields, God-forsaken flower fields in Coimbatore. It was not easy. So and while they are at it, there is a development team sitting and working with them on data modeling.
Right.
There's a and how do you get the data where there is no internet? So and then how do you reach a hardware there? How do you work around? So I mean, it was a crazy journey because we understood that, we don't, we never wanted to build the first round, a very software centric model, because I really thought that that is not solving. Because, uh, first of all, in agriculture, what we are solving is data, and data can only be acquired through the right hardware,
Right.
because that is not there. You cannot
Right.
have a data entry through a mobile app in agriculture.
Right.
That's what,
Right.
and that's where, you know, yeah.
Right.
So irate families for sure, irate people for sure, because they saw, subjectivity being removed, their specific interest getting removed
Hmm.
in a $3 billion procurement. If a $3 billion procurement goes digital, you understand, kitno ka, matlab, so many vested interest in the game.
Right.
Yeah, so I asked the CEOs that what in that first meeting that I mean, why would you want that? Because you might be already charging the farmer low and making money, right? So,
Right.
I mean, the person is on your side, the person who tests the procurement. So they said, what if he's on the other side?
Right.
That was a marvelous point that one CEO told. What if that person is on the other side? We get the worst of the quality, and we cannot make an exportable product out of our buying.
Right.
So what
Right.
we are solving, that's the day I came to know that what we are solving is not just for the farmers, not just for the buyers, it's for the whole ecosystem to
Right.
improve and make our country better for exports, make our country better for better produce in the game. And I
Right.
think that model is now coming to us as an understanding even till now, because we know that this tech can solve wherever there's a buying and selling happening.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we are here to solve, where the farmer gets the right price and the buyer gets the right product.
Right. Right. A lot of startup founders talk about the right time. The people talk about product market fit or PML now, right? So, product market love, right? So, did you ever, you know, uh, sit down to think about it in those terms? Like, I mean, obviously, this CEO telling you that you're solving an actual problem for me was one of those pivotal moments. Uh, but when did you know that, okay, I mean, this is a real problem that we're solving? Or are you still, grappling with that? Where are you?
No, we are well entrenched into the love of it.
Hmm.
That we understand what we are solving is a very very uh, it's something that we are attached to now. So
Hmm.
it only when you know, right? So sometimes it happens without knowing also. But yeah, we know that we are there. We know the problem that we are solving,
Right.
and we know the product market fit in
Right.
terms of that with computer vision we'll solve here, with
Right.
spectrometry. we will solve here, and with IoT we will solve here.
Right.
The Now the next mountain that is there is integration, which we have just done, and the subsequent mountain is, which we have also kind of almost reached, is accuracy. That
Right.
you know what we want 99.98 accuracy. I mean, if a person does it three times, he will be at 95. I'm
Right.
just saying, but you know that's but it's amazing, because in the end what we are doing is we are improving the whole game.
Right.
And there's a huge barrier of entry to what we have done. For example, if you are building a model for turmeric,
Hmm.
uh, finding curcumin value, it's in 30 seconds.
Right.
uh, Otherwise the labs take 5 to 10 days.
Right.
We do that on the spot in 30 seconds.
Right.
Now if it were to be made, we have to collect around 2000 samples from 2% to 8% across India,
Right.
get them lab tested, and then build the model.
Right.
Now how hard is that? I mean, it's easily left to understanding that collecting so many samples across India, then getting lab tested, then building the model, and then building the hardware, and then getting to a precision of 98%. And this is not just turmeric, we have done for more than 100 parameters now. So
Right.
imagine the effort that has gone into the whole game, and it is very difficult for someone to, kind of understand why we are solving that, and then how go about it, and then package it, and then go to the client. We are at the stage of, talking to all the clients right now.
Right.
So
Right.
the barrier of entry is huge, and I think that's where the love is also there. That what we have built is something, a lot of hard work and a lot of passion.
Hmm.
So now, when we are in that niche space, it's a game. How do we make it 1-2x in a much more splendid manner? And that's why
Right.
when I say that we are looking at a bit more integration of SaaS around what we have done, we are just kind of understanding the market, that if you're going to a large feed factory, can we give him 5 more modules,
Right.
which he might have never seen. So
Right.
that's where our understanding of technology comes in, that we have solved a very very niche problem, and then we are also solving a payments problem for him, or we are solving some uh, a procurement problem of a forward auction or a reverse auction that he wanted.
Right. Right. So, I mean, the complexity itself is huge because I mean, I had the opportunity to work with a research team that did only the IoT instrumentation and the software side of things for a research project, right? So that I don't think that really went commercial, but the interest that it generated, even a simple project like that, was pretty eye-opening. So, what have you learned from your journey so far that you didn't know before, Tarun? What's that one pithy lesson that you have that you believe would benefit others to know?
I think, is that just the one thing?
Go ahead.
I would then merge one and two, maybe.
Okay.
It's patience pays and people accelerate, in the
Right.
sense that being very very passionate about what you're solving is not a lovely highway. It's a very very, it's a drive that will take you through thousands of letdowns, thousands of surprises, thousands of pushbacks.
Hmm.
uh, so being patient with the failures, and driving it still on the highway,
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
it definitely pays, because as I said, I mean, we have crossed so many paths that if we would not have been driving, we have been just another software company or a supply chain company in agriculture,
Right.
which most of the startups are,
Right.
which we never, we
You
we
didn't aspire
consciously,
to be.
we never aspired to be, even though we could have done a series B, series C much faster. We never went into it because we knew what we are solving. So I think that's where it pays. It definitely pays. And the second is people are very important. They make or break, and their alignment, their passion with the vision is very very critical.
Right.
I mean, never settle for people who might not get that vibe that they're solving for the greater good, and always settle with even people are low on productivity but great on passion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, I mean, somehow manage them, but people with great passion will eventually get into great productivity. That's for sure.
Right.
So I think that acceleration with people is managing that in a large plot uh, like AgNext is was the greatest learning.
Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, this is a fun question. Okay, is there anything that you remember in this entire journey that you feel like, okay, we got away with that? You know, uh, something that you feel um, that you might go back and do differently, but we got away with it and we were able to recover and move forward in the way that we intended.
Oh, there are many. I mean,
Okay.
if you ask it a funny, I would have to think how can I make it funny, but
No, no,
they are
go ahead. I
disasters.
mean, okay, go ahead. I mean, let's talk about disasters then. That's fine. It doesn't have to be funny.
I think although we knew that data is, we did get in the initial days when the hardware and everything was getting done, a bit swayed about, why don't we just kind of build a only software centric some model to work on? I put a small team to work on that, and we were apparently literally one of the most advanced states of India. We were getting the whole order for that particular state.
Hmm.
I didn't go to a, I mean, that was almost done. The chief secretary had given a go ahead.
Hmm.
And then the literally the university chancellor, everyone was there. This is amazing solution. We'll put it all across, a million farmers that we have, 2 million farmers that we have, and all this and that. And I came and slept a very good night. That okay, at least चलो सॉफ्टवेयर वाला चल जाएगा थोड़ा यहाँ पे, बाकी हार्डवेयर पे पैसा लग जाएगा उसमें.
Hmm.
So I did that. I thought of that, and by the time this contract was getting signed, elections had happened, and the chief secretary got transferred. So my entire 9 months of effort gone down the drain.
Wow.
And sitting here today, I mean, obviously we would have been one of the large, so-called. I have X million farmers on my platform would have been solved in just one go.
Right.
But
Not to be.
you know, it was not to be. And I feel so proud of it actually today that it happened, because it would have been a disaster for the company in
Right.
every which way. Because what we have achieved is something extremely
Right.
differentiating. So I think maybe that's destiny.
Hmm.
But I believe a lot in that. So I truly believe that. I mean, it was not to be. More funny versions also are available, but we can talk about that later.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure, sure, sure. So, how, did you find anybody who kind of was a help to you or a mentor to you on this journey? Because this is a space that's very, very niche. And it's not like the community that you had grown with or the community that you had studied with had a huge amount to offer in terms of the market dynamics or the things that you were learning literally on your feet. So who did you find helpful and how did you find them? Was there anybody at all?
I mean, I can go on. I was very blessed to have very good mentors, and I think they kept arriving quite a lot. And even now, I am in touch with them, even after 10 years of initiating discussions about what I want to do in life.
Hmm.
Uh, Still there, and I think I just got very lucky having very good mentors for each sector. For example, if I'm working in tea, I have someone whom I can talk to literally about the whole problems that I'm going through.
Hmm.
If I'm talking about uh, business models in agriculture, I have someone who has globally worked, understands each and every business model. if I have something to talk on spiritual matters, also I have someone whom I can talk to. I have had, thankfully, the right
Mix of
uh,
mentors.
mix of mentors that is needed to, run in this space, and that is what I would also request every startup founder to, seek that. Uh, Seek that path. It is very critical to have a guru or a or a mentor
Hmm.
with whom you can open your heart out. It
Right.
is very, very critical because, even if you are of that, not that nature,
Hmm.
uh, at least on your journey to entrepreneurship, you should walk that path,
Right.
because it's a very stressful journey. There's a lot of things that you imbibe from others' energies.
Hmm.
Uh, so you have to get that out, and that requires you know discussion, that requires thinking, that requires a lot of cleaning,
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, cleaning of your I would say mental as well as your spiritual systems. So I
Right.
think it's very critical that one should walk that path. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it
Obviously.
is at the end of the day managing of your own energy to be able to actually deliver the kind of output that you need to. And it is necessarily a lonely journey, right? Because you've got to kind of take the lead on so many different fronts, especially in a space where nobody has really thought through even the problems that you're trying to articulate. Uh, Forget the solution space, right? So, yeah, completely with you there. What about the VC community, Taran? What's been your experience as a niche solution space? A very, very specialized interest area. What has been your experience so far? Who did you connect to from the VC community? Any people that you want to name there that were fantastic, not so fantastic? Anything that you want to talk about the entire funding, the investment conversations, with both your own experience as well as what you would recommend to somebody who was embarking on that.
I think that's a lovely question because I mean, see, I have been kind of on the other side of table in the understanding businesses from a consulting and a bit of a invest banking kind of whatever timeline that I spent in my life.
Hmm.
But on an entrepreneur side of the table is also different.
Right.
Now, you know what? VCs are VCs, and they take bets, right?
Right.
And that is also basis a certain stimulus, a certain environment, a certain biasness sometimes
Hmm.
that they are prone to get exposed to. And that's where, again, I would say very, very clearly here, when I came back to India, I went to Bangalore, I went to
Hmm.
Gurgaon, and all my life I had grown up and worked in remote areas, right? I grew up in Kharagpur, which is like, God forsaken, only IIT and the railway system, there's nothing else, but I grew up there. And then I went to IIT, then I went to IM. I mean, I worked in Shahjahanpur, which you even forgot the name to mention again, but,
Hmm. Yeah.
you know, that's all.
Sorry.
Those are the far-flung places I worked. Not
Right.
a typical Bangalore, Nevada, Bay Area. So
Yeah.
and then when I went abroad, I lived a very, very nice life on the 9-10 years that I was abroad.
Hmm.
So in India, I never worked in a
Metro or
metro environment, or there's a purple haze in the evening or anything like that.
right.
It is
That's telling,
it's a,
huh?
it's a
That's telling our age.
it's a simple chai at the Kasauli hill station. That's all.
Right.
So yeah, so when I came back to India, I went to Gurgaon and Bangalore. I couldn't find, and I came to Chandigarh. And
Right.
I love Chandigarh. It's the most planned city and the most beautiful city. It's the gateway to the Himalayas.
Right.
So in if anyone is selling tea more than Modi, it is me, because because I tell my candidates whom I have to interview and get them from a Bangalore to or a Pune to a happening place to a place like Chandigarh, that dude, In 30 minutes, we are on sitting in Kasoli Mountains and drinking tea. Imagine the
Right.
life. So a lot of selling goes, but you know, uh, we are not exposed to VCs here, honestly,
Right. Right.
Chandigarh, and very difficult for a because in Bangalore and Bombay and Pune and Hyderabad, what you're doing is you're literally there are founders who are literally out of the 30 days, 7 days are spent on banging on the doors of VCs.
VCs.
Every VCs knows everyone has met with everyone. It's literally a party going on, right?
Right.
This is one dude sitting in Chandigarh and in agriculture.
Right.
So I mean, there's a double exponential issue there.
Right.
But thankfully, you know what? That's what I'm saying. I mean, we were one of the first ones to get a generalized VC, and we were
Mhm.
also one of the first ones to get a large round of funding from a specialized VC.
Right.
So generalized VC, Kalari Capital invested in us. Vani Kola was here in
Right.
Chandigarh.
Okay.
It's such a big name, such a person who understands this, environment.
Right.
Uh, and honestly, I don't want to take it on this. I'll talk about it. I had rejected her offer initially.
Okay.
So I said no, I don't want really. But you know what? So what I want to say is there are people who take a bet, and
Right.
VP communities are ones who I believe uh, understand what they are doing.
Right.
Uh, it like like us, like the society, the education we grew up in, we had our biases. ये
Right.
वाला पढ़ेंगे, ये वाला MBA करेंगे, ये वाला job लेंगे. It's a
Right.
path that is proven and there is a way,
Hmm.
right? VCs also have that kind of notion that ये वाला path रहेगा तो success होगा. But
Right.
every VC has an anti-portfolio list, right?
Right.
That anti-list is what probably we are in some
Right.
right now. So, because we never met so many. I mean, all the agtech startups would have met a Tiger or Axel or whatever, Lightspeed or whatever. We are here sitting. We knew whom we met, and we had a very high fairly conversion on whatever whomsoever we met till now,
Right.
because they knew that what we are doing is just amazing. There's a huge tech,
Hmm.
and the role play and the game plan that we have is large.
Right.
Thankfully, never, and I never got the time to go and talk to every VC as of now.
Right.
So, that's why I find it very amusing that VCs are taking bets on that cheesy 3 a.m. delivery. But
I'd love for you to take this shot on air. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so they are in a particular environment, surrounded by particular thought processes.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, uh, but there are anti-portfolios, right? And
Right.
thankfully, we are not in the anti-portfolio of many or in the portfolio of many because we have not reached out to many.
Right.
I mean, people when they came to know about us, I mean, they call as far flung as from the valley to somebody from the NCR that hey, we want to invest in you right now, or from Japan, that
Right.
want to discuss what you guys are doing is amazing.
Right.
So I mean, it's something that is I mean, I'm just thankful. I mean, what will happen in the future, I don't know, but
Right.
I might be what I'm trying to say here is I'm entirely the wrong person to say because sitting in Chandigarh with agriculture, we got the first large ticket, and then we also got a generalized VC investing in agtech. So
Right.
I think I have a lot to prove. So that's where my focus would be rather than analyzing VCs because VCs are great at analyzing. So let them keep doing that, and
Right.
I have to keep working on my job to
Right.
make this a super anti portfolio of whatever one or two thought.
Right.
that,
No, absolutely. Absolutely. So, anything else that you feel, looking back, I think we've spoken about how you eventually ended up doing what you're doing today and, the journey so far, both with your team and, the entire aspect of taking the leadership of an organization, and in your space as well, your own personal journey. I think we've spoken about a lot of all of that. What else would you like to touch on, Taran? What do you think we've left out?
Yeah, no, you've pretty much asked, what has been my background, all the personal as well as professional accelerations that have come towards this journey. If there is a cosmic pull that I get that I have to solve something, I don't know why, but I do get that. I mean, there's
Right,
something that I'm extremely energy oriented. I believe in the spiritual path of solving something. I think I would not like to talk much on the spiritual part on a forum,
right,
but on the personal front, I mean, leadership, etc. I mean, I was coming from a small town. I was thankfully, had enough time in my life to do whatever I wanted to do. So I was a
right,
national player in basketball.
right,
I was, I, I got, uh, I was a captain of literally around a lot of social. I had my own bands. I was a painter myself.
right.
I was, I mean, I play 5 instruments.
You do?
I
Which
draw
ones?
bass, rhythm, harmonica, banjo, and a bit of drums.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
Yeah, I was a captain of arts at IIT. The
Hmm.
first, I was also a lot into sketching, painting, etc.
Hmm.
And I was also the best outgoing all rounder for my hall.
Hmm.
So all of these things have just kind of helped me to manage teams of various. I mean, I have seen all the aggressive dudes of basketball and hockey and tennis. I
Mm.
have seen all the, I would say, again the 3 a.m. guys of music.
Yeah, that's an interesting aspect as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
jamming at 3 a.m. People who are overtly, whatever. And
Mm.
then I've seen all the creative sides of paintings. Let them. It's just evoke the right kind of understanding of people.
Right.
What kind of people needs to be understood, managed towards a common mission.
Right.
So I think being a captain of so many fields, it just gave me that preparation for this thing to be delivered. Right.
Right. It's been such a pleasure talking to you, and
Yeah,
yeah,
likewise, it's great to meet people who are of the same, I would say, understanding of what thesis of I would say expertise is required in life.
yeah, yeah. I mean, every day is an experiment, yeah. At the end of it
Yeah,
all.
correct,
Yeah.
correct, correct.
So, and it's up to you what you do with those 24 hours that are given to you, right? So, make
Yeah,
the most of it. Thanks a lot,
sure.
Taran. Thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you.
the time.
Pleasure talking to you.
Bye bye.
Take care. Take care. Bye.